Today's gem is an AC 6550. It's 63 to 65 Pontiacs, 389s, 421s. It's in for a rebuild, and it's a genuine. We're going to go through it and make it like new again. Stand by. Before we get to the rebuild, what I wanted to show you was a lot of these pumps, they come in with all the fittings in them, and normally the straight fittings I'll leave in, but when you have one of these 90-degree fittings, I got to take them out. As you can see inside, it's all plugged up. It's one of the reasons why I'll remove these fittings. I won't put them back in. I leave that up to the customer. So if you send your pump in to be rebuilt and you leave the fittings in it, I'm going to take them out and I'll let you put them back in. First order of business is to mark the location of this fuel casting so you can put the inlet and outlet back in the same place it was when it was on the car. Either take a picture of it, do a drawing of it. What I like to do is just use a little center punch and mark it. I mark it closest to the arm. Reason being is when it's bolted on the car, you're not going to see these dots because the engine's right there. Take these 4 screws out first, and then these 10 screws are on the outside. After these 4 screws are taken out, this cover, normally it's stuck on there. Just use a putty knife. A few taps with a hammer. It'll knock it loose. This is your Pulsator Diaphragm. What this does is block off the fuel when it comes in. The fuel will go in, just directs it so it keeps it from going just back and forth. Once it's down inside the pump and the diaphragm pushes it back up to force the fuel out, it'll hit this here and send it out through the outlet up to your carburetor. Now we got to get these 10 screws out around the outside. The last screw, just hold your hand on top of it, on top of the casting, as it'll pop up, just so that you don't drop it. Is the underside of it. This is where the fuel comes into the pump, and the pump sends it back out to go up to your carburetor. We'll set that aside. Time to take out the diaphragm. This one here has been sitting around for a while, so everything is all dried out. Now, in order to remove the diaphragm, is one of the tricky items. It's probably the hardest part of this whole doing one of these AC pumps. We want to push the diaphragm down and tip it back. Actually, at the bottom where the pull rod is, you want to tip that back towards you. And it'll unhook and just lift it out. There's the spring and the diaphragm assembly with the pull rod. This is what you're unhooking from the link that's inside the pump. Set it aside. You got a seal down in here. We want to get that out. You can see it's all dried out because it's just breaking apart. You'll get a new seal and a new retainer. At this point, this is ready to go through the wash tank, get all the oil and grease and everything off it and all the grime, and then we'll let it take a trip through the glass beading tank. Now we want to remove both of these valves. One's going to come out this way, one's going to come out the other way. So we'll just use a socket, use a punch, doesn't matter. Just give it a couple of whacks and it'll knock it out, and it'll fall right on the floor. Same thing with the other one. Turn it over. That was pretty good. I got that stuck right on there. Jeekers. This is ready to take a trip through the wash tank too. A lot of grease on this one. And the top cover. After this is done, I'm done cleaning this up, I'll show you where the date codes are on these. Should be on all the pieces. We'll be back shortly. One thing I want to show you, that if you will grab this arm and try to twist it or rock it back and forth, and there's a lot of play in there, you might have to change this pin. It's very easy to get the arm out. There's a little washer right around here. It's kind of tough to see because of all the grease, but cut that washer, drive the pin out. The arm will come out along with the link, and there's a washer in here along with a sleeve, and usually it's the pin that does all the wearing, but these ones here seem to be pretty good because of that sleeve that's in there. It protects the arm, it protects the pin. But in case there is a problem, you can, that's one way to remove it. It's also another way of getting the part of the seal is stuck up in here. Yeah. Sorry for the noise. It's another way of getting the diaphragm out if you can't unhook it by just pushing down and tipping it back. Take the pin out, hold a little pressure on it so that it doesn't pop. Take the pin out and slide the arm out, and it'll unhook it. I usually have good luck by just doing it the way that I do it. So let's get it cleaned. Time for reassembly. Before you put anything into these valves in, you want to flatten out this area. Anywhere that there two castings are going to come together, you want to flatten them out. All this area here. Same thing with the body. Run it on a piece of sandpaper. If you have a belt sander, run it on the belt sander, make sure it's flat. And then you're ready for some reassembly. I mentioned earlier about showing you where the date codes are. It's actually the casting date of when these parts came out of the mold. Down inside, let's see if I can point to it. Right down in here, it's a 63. The little lines around the outside signify a month. This particular piece of casting came out of the mold in July of 1963. Now this is the top cover, or the bottom cover, and this is easier to see. the 63, and you count up around the outside, and you come out to July of 63. Normally, the date codes on these things are stamped up in here, but unfortunately on this particular one, they machined it for the opening for the arm, and they machined the date right off of it. I found them down inside of here, down inside the bottom of this, in here, sometimes it's down inside of this. They'll put it down in there. It's just one little thing, but the most important thing is that the AC insignia on it and the particular part number. Okay, with that out of the way, it's time to put it together. We're going to start with the fuel casting and put in the valves. Gasket. Set the gasket down right on that little ledge. Now you want to be careful on the next step, which is pressing in the valve. Make sure that you get them going the right way. If you look at here, this is a lot higher than this is. Same thing with the bottom. This has got a seat in it, so this valve is going to go this way. This valve is going to go this way. Drop it down inside. I'm probably going to lose the sound because I have to hit it. Just keep steady tapping on it. Okay, that valve's in. It doesn't stick up over the top of the casting, so the plate's not going to hit it. It takes a little bit to get these in here. Just be careful. Don't hit it too hard or you'll crack the casting. See these little dimples around the outside? That was done at the factory, because the valves they were using, they probably didn't trust them to stay in there. Same thing as the other valve. Now you want to be real careful putting that one in. Reason being is the casting is real thin in through here. And hit it too hard and you'll blow that right out of there. Trust me, I've done it. If that happens, get some JB weld, glue it back in, or find another casting. Now if your valves went in easy, very simple, just dimple the casting around the outside of that. and that'll hold it in. Put on the Pulsator diaphragm. Pulsator cover. I use new screws on all my pumps. All the pumps that I rebuild. You're using the ones that came off it, unless you went down to the hardware store and bought new screws. They're 1032s by 9/16. The machine screws. I'll snug them all down. Bring them all down till they're even, till they all touch. Then starting with the middle ones, start tightening them down. Just remember they're going into aluminum, and you can strip them. If you do, just use a halo coil and it'll fix them. This is the out, so you should be able to suck air out and not blow it in. Now on the inlet, it's just the opposite. You should be able to blow air in and not suck air out. And that'll tell you whether there's anything is leaking around here, or if the valves aren't seated, or one of the valves is stuck open or something. This one's fine. Now we get to put the seal in. We have two different style seals. We have this one here that has the tall section here, and then we have this one here that's down flat. I prefer to use this. This is more factory. It's just personal preference. I just like to use this. If you get a kit, this is what you're going to get, so you're going to use this. Put the seal together, put the retainer over the seal. And see this little lip right here? That fits in that little groove that's around there. Don't put it in this way. Should sit right down inside of there. Again, get your socket out, tap it down. Now I just like to dimple the casting around the outside edge. Only because there's force from the seal holding onto the shaft on the pull rod, trying to pick it up all the time. What I've got, I have a sacrificial chisel that I flattened out. Instead of a point, it's got a flat spot in it, and it's great for dimpling the castings. Take a little bit of engine oil or grease or something, put it on the center of this. You don't want that pull rod to run dry. Use your spring over again. Now you want to set this down inside. You want to hook it onto the diaphragm, onto the link. So you're going to, now I can show you this, you're going to push this down, push it that way to try to hook it on. Sometimes I get this the first try, sometimes it's several. This one did it good. Put your pump back in the vise. Move that arm a few times. That'll confirm that you are hooked onto it, onto the link inside. Then we're going to put the fuel casting on. Okay, look for your index marks that you made earlier. Here's mine. That little dot right there, and that little dot up there. This will go back the exact same way that it came apart. Put one screw in each side, opposite each other. And put them through the diaphragm. Pull up on the arm and find that hole. Get the screw caught. While you're holding up on that arm, it makes it a little bit easier. Stick the rest of the screws in and just run them down until they touch the casting. Don't tighten them up all the way. And I'm missing a screw. So, like I said, run these down just till they touch the casting. Lift up on the arm a little bit. It'll bring the whole diameter on these diaphragm easier to catch. With the diaphragm, with the arm relaxed, it pushes the diaphragm up, and the holes tend to get shrunk in, and they pull in a little bit, so you can't catch them. Pull that up. You can see that come right out. This next part, I'm going to preload this diaphragm. Now the best way to do it is to get an adjustable wrench, put it on the arm, pull it up till it stops. Now tighten down the screws. Do one opposite each other first. Keep holding pressure on that. And try not to drop your screwdriver. We'll be right back. Once you get 4 of them done, what I like to do is do 2 opposite, 2 opposite, and go around and tighten the rest of them down. Once you get 4 or 5 of them done, you can release the pressure on the arm. And then take one last right around. Double check the top ones. I'll take that arm again. Make sure you got movement there, and you can hear them. Put your finger over, pull it up, put your finger over the out, block the outlet, and let the arm go. You should feel pressure there. With it and released, put your finger over the inlet and pull out. You'll feel suction. Pump's ready to go. Remember those fittings I pulled out? They're all full of these particular ones. I ran through the glass beater and got them all nice and clean. Now I'm not going to install them. I'm just going to stick them back in here so that the customer will have them. And this one's ready to go. Hit subscribe, comment, let me know how I did. Thanks for watching.